I couldn't open my fucking 40. I was losing my mind.
Bottle has been popped, homie. You probably heard that.
All right, that'll be the perfect intro as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 40 Before Noon podcast. Today, we are joined by Mike Labelle, and I think it might be the most Mike Labelle thing in the world to drink wine on this podcast.
I didn't have a 40, and I didn't have time to run to the store, but I do have a lot of wine. So today we're having a Cabernet. I was recommended this brand. I was looking for more of a, I'd say like a mid-tier Cabernet, so Camp. Never had it before. This will be the first time. Cheers.
Zoo, do you even know what any of that is? Because I honestly, I've know nothing about wine.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I think that helps. Is my mom is actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I
The answer is
mean,
yes. He knows a lot.
I
about
dabble
wine.
in the wine.
Man, oh man.
I talk
Zoo-
about it, but honestly, I'm incorrect. I am drinking a double axe 40. I don't know. I've never heard of this. Never had it before.
I'm googling.
It's 11 points.
Double Axe.
Yeah, 11.7% alcohol beer. Extremely smooth, extremely strong. Never had it before.
I just googled Double Axe 40, and I got a 40-year-old man with 2 axes. We're off to a great start, boys.
That is incredible. Bro, I mentioned it in the last podcast, but the 40s are sold out here. So I have a 32-ounce Modelo in front of me. I think it costs like $2. So we'll get this thing going.
Cheers.
Steal.
I was going to say, I need a drink, dude. All right, let's start it off. Mike, I looked at my Instagram today because I was trying to figure out the exact day that we met. Do you have any idea how many years ago it was?
Wow. I think it.
When I was.
Yeah,
go
like
ahead.
met in person or met via the internet?
In person.
Had we met prior to when you came to Houston, or was that our first time?
No.
I think that was our
very,
first time.
very first time.
That sounds really suspect. We need a lot of pauses within this period. So our first time meeting then, that would have been, wow. So we're in 2021. I've been in New York nearly 4 years. It was at least a couple years before that. Yeah, so 6 years. I'd say 6 years ago.
August 20th, 2017. As if my thing's actually correct. So, yeah, I mean, we're going nearly on 4 years. Which doesn't feel like...
How did you had it correct at 4 and you just made me go out there with 6?
Yeah, bro, I was just testing you to start off, you know?
I
Buck
feel
has
like
it
I
on his
overdid
calendar.
it. No, because you were still in college, I think, right?
No, I think I had just moved back to my mom's house at that point, actually. But yeah, so yeah, 4 years ago, I was invited out to Houston. I don't know if I was invited out or if I kind of invited myself because I really wanted to just go play on Mike's team. Because that's when you were doing it was the hashtag Houston. It was 6-a-side indoor, yeah?
That was so much fun, man. We had a great time playing. I remember you missing a couple 1v1s, but everything else was
Bro,
good to go.
Classic.
Dude, I was wearing like size 10 shoes. Mike didn't tell me before we went out there that I wasn't able to wear cleats because all the indoor places here we can. So yeah, I'm wearing clown shoes out there. Yeah, I definitely missed a 1v1. And I, honest to God, almost didn't go watch the video you posted that week because I knew it was going to make the cut as well. And I was
Man, I might watch
embarrassed out of
that
my
back
mind.
after this. That's one of my favorite series or just products that I put out on YouTube. It wasn't necessarily a viral video or series, but it was so much fun to make because we did 2 seasons. I think you came for the second season, and they were maybe 8 episodes between each of the seasons. So you got a full season of us playing, and you got to kind of talk to different players and learn a little bit more of their background because a lot of this was pretty much shortly after college, and we're playing at a good level. I don't remember the game where you came, what kind of opposition we had, but I know the standard was pretty decent though, and the majority of our team also played in college, so it was a really kind of a nice collective. It was like our last hurrah before, I guess, life sits in, beer bellies or wine bellies or 40 bellies start happening. And you get a dog, and then you get a kid, and then that's it. It's a wrap. You got the white picket fence, the American dream.
No, it was, I remember the standard was really, really good. And I think the game we played in was a close one. I swear you scored 2 goals, and I'm not trying to gas you up or anything, but I think that's one of the few things that I actually remember from it. What I was going to say was, because you were talking about how you guys all played in college and stuff, I feel like the background of people before, I guess like the background of people besides the FIFA part of it doesn't get talked about enough. Give us some insight on the college sports experience. Because didn't you play 2 different sports?
No, so I had offers for basketball and offers for soccer when I was getting close to graduating from high school. But I knew that I wasn't going to go pro in either. And transparently, I really didn't want to play sports that much. I just wanted to go to school at that point. I think you do so much, or you make such large investments in time. I think both of you probably know this. I don't know, but I know Buck's background. I don't know Zoo's background.
I played soccer my whole life. I played soccer.
Okay, so
high level too.
Yeah, if you play at a pretty good level, and I think it's probably similar in Europe as well, you have to invest so much of your life, and it's even more so if you're doing 2 sports at a high level, between traveling, especially if you don't live in a major city, you're gonna have to travel all the time because you have to prove that your level is at a competitive level for your region or on the national scale. So that was kind of my dilemma. I got into the schools I wanted to, that I could go study. I didn't have any money, so I was not really down to take out loans. So I went to a D1, but I wasn't good enough to play there. But I had a full ride academically, and I had financial aid, so I actually profited my first year of college, which probably very few people could say. Like, heavy profit.
Damn.
Yeah, heavy profit the first year. And it was even more so because when I got there, they didn't have a room for me. And where was I going to stay? I was out of state student, so they stuck me in a hotel for like 3 months, and they were losing so much money that they paid me to leave the hotel as well. Because they didn't have any more dorm rooms when I got there. And I was like, how did the out-of-state student not get a dorm room?
Wait, they paid you to leave the hotel?
Yeah, because they were losing so much money. I was there for almost 3
That's
months
sick.
in the hotel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because like think about like a hotel rate. It's like $150 a night or whatever, and you're doing that for 3 months. It's incredible. I couldn't believe I stayed that long, but I really liked it. It was nice. I got breakfast for free every morning, and I just walked to classes. And it was a really strange dynamic. But at one point they started offering me money to leave, and it was like I think they all gave me like $3,000 to leave the hotel. Isn't that wild?
At that
Because you have
point?
no money at 18 at all, by the way. Like, let's track
Oh, that's
back
a
here.
lot of
None
money at 18.
Huge,
bro. I'd be
huge
like,
amounts of
yes,
money. We have
sir.
So they basically that paid for my apartment for the most part because I was in Ohio. It's not very expensive cost of living. So I moved out, paid the apartment there. I was on financial aid and I had a full ride. So I was just collecting that first year.
But you played the system.
Huh?
I would say you played the system. But Zoo, what was your question?
I was gonna say, living in a hotel for 3 months, was there any crazy like hotel moment? You know what I mean? Though, like the moments where it's like, met a girl at a party and you're just like, oh yeah, I have a. Was that nothing ever?
I don't think I was like you're not player enough at that point. As an 18-year-old kid, you were so innocent. I can't speak for you guys, but for me, I was very innocent in terms of anything. I was really just getting into drinking, and even at that point, drinking's illegal. Like I was not someone who started early with anything with partying and extracurricular activities in high school, mainly because if you're playing 2 sports, and I was already competing in video games. I was already a pro
That's
FIFA
true.
player.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So I didn't have any time. I'm waking up in the mornings early to go play basketball. Then I play basketball after school, and then after that practice, I would go to the soccer practice for club because high school doesn't mean anything for soccer. I don't know if it's the same.
Yep.
And yeah, I was.
It's the
yeah.
exact
Yeah,
same,
it
yeah.
doesn't mean shit.
So high school, nobody cared. I never even went to a high school practice for soccer, and we just go to club, and then you travel during the weekends, and then I was competing in video games with my side time, and then traveling around the world. Because I got my first FIFA Interactive World Cup, which has transitioned into the FIFA E World Cup. They got rebranded. The first one of those that I qualified for was in 2007. To give you some background.
Oh my
Eats.
God.
Yeah, so I've been to 3 of those as a competitor. But yeah, time periods were it was a hobby for everyone as well. There wasn't any money in this. You could win a tournament and lose money competing in FIFA. There wasn't content creation. None of that existed at all. But anyways, the point to answer your question is there wasn't a side of me that had anything like that. You're learning who you are to a certain degree at 18, 19, 20 years old. You've been dependent your complete life, very reliant on your parents and whatever their rules were and what you had access to. A lot of us didn't. I don't come from an affluent background, so I didn't get here's a car, here's this, that didn't happen. It didn't exist.
I always forget that you guys. I don't know if Mike, you knew that I'm in Canada, so our drinking age is 18. I guess you're right. Like 18 isn't legal there, stuff like that. So I completely forgot, but that's true because here it's like you turn 18. Trust me, you freaking every 18-year-old.
Well, you probably start
That's
even at 16. You might start earlier, but there's always
Yeah.
that trickle down. No, but I'm saying like there's a trickle down from a couple years this way or that way. When you're talking about like partying as you get closer to the legal state, but when you're, 16 doesn't happen as often in the U.S. or 15, because you can't legally drink even until 21, and there's no bar nightlife scene, at least not for a broke guy that depends on his parents. I don't know. Like that doesn't really exist here. It's you gotta. Yeah, I don't know. You have to be able to pay for drinks. You gotta be able to do things.
Yeah, for
That's
me,
why
it
you
was.
pregame.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was sitting in a park with all my friends when I was 16 years old, and we had one friend that had a fake ID, and he'd buy us all 40s, which
You're still
10 years
doing that
later
now.
we're still drinking them. Yeah, no, we're still doing the exact same thing, just in a bedroom now. But yeah, everybody would chip in $3, and we'd all just go get drunk in the park, and that was pretty much
Those
it.
are the best times, though. That's the thing, man.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
the
honestly,
best memories.
it's true. Mike, what did you go to school for?
I went to school for business, and not that it really matters. I don't mean this to discourage everyone that's watching or listening, but school is okay for networking, but that's probably about it. Unless you're going into a field where you need those years. And an example would be if you're going to go into something medical, if you're going to be an engineer. There's certain professions where you definitely need to have that investment in terms of the time in school is really, really important. But business, in any of the breakdowns almost of business, whether you're going into marketing, advertising, you're looking at maybe accounting, it'd help maybe a little bit, taking some accounting courses if you were going to go into trying to be a CPA. If you go into communication, liberal arts, you could pick a degree. A lot of it, unfortunately, really is kind of a money grab, in my opinion. I just think about going to school for all these years. I basically went for almost 5 because I transferred multiple times. And
Yeah, that'll mess it up.
Yeah, it really messes up because the curriculum doesn't carry over, and it's almost as if there's like some insider trading. I don't know if you felt like this for either of you, but why don't they tell you in high school? Why don't they teach you financial literacy? Why don't they talk to you about smart decision making? Because a lot of people take loans out, not realizing that real life doesn't work like that. So, for example, I got into NYU. And I really wanted to go to NYU. It's the premier school, or one of the premier schools in the middle. It's in the heart of Manhattan, so where everybody wants to be in New York City. But I did math. I was 17. I was like, hold on, let me do some math, because my parents weren't able to help me with anything. And I was sitting here and seeing there was no way that I wasn't going to come out of or graduate without at least $200,000 in debt. And
Jesus.
I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, what job pays you to get out of that? You realize how much overage you have to make up for $200,000? You're going to be in debt for 20 years.
Yeah.
Unless you create your own business, or you go into maybe finance or sales, maybe. But then you get to be out in 10 years.
It is crazy. I honestly, every single year it just feels like college goes up here. I don't know how it is in Canada in terms of like prices and stuff. But yeah, no. I know people that are still paying off their debt, and they graduated like 5 years ago.
Most people.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you were an athlete, or your parents hooked it up for you, or for some reason you had a little more of the, I guess the anticipation or the intuition, or someone that mentored you in high school maybe and said, hey, don't do this, and you listened, you took in some debt. Like when I finished, and I mean, I told you about all this profit I made at one point. And when I finished school, I still had to pay back $15,000, which is not bad at all for the U.S. system, but I still owed money, and I played college sports. I obviously profited the first year. I didn't have reckless spending. I sort of had a job playing FIFA.
Did the mic just cut out for anybody else?
Yeah, I was
I
just
don't know.
going to say,
Is
yeah.
that a cutout?
Okay. Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you were in the
I
middle
was
of the
like, wait,
sentence there
what?
for a second.
There's a long
Hey, wait, I
pause.
have a
Wild.
question. I have a question that both of you. Coming back to like sports, we've all played it, like we said. One question I want to ask Mike, and of course Buck too. You answer this. Throughout your sports career, let's just say straight soccer, even basketball too, I guess. Did you ever have a certain rival, like a certain player that you would play against, whether it be in like young age, from like those guys that you just always play against all year, like every year? Do you ever have like a crazy rival or like a fight story or court?
I mean,
Mike, you got one?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. If you played at like I felt like there was a lot of control if you're playing at a really high level, because these guys we're all gonna play in college if we want. So there's a lot to lose. I felt actually a lot of the crazy stories I have around sports is actually when I was done playing at a college level. The men's leagues is when I've have all my crazy stories.
That doesn't surprise me at all, man.
Like I can tell
all.
you, I'll tell you a few of them. Those are good. I mean, the ones when I was in high school, really not that good. You know, the games are intense or whatnot, but everybody's playing for opportunity, and I just feel like there weren't many reckless moments. However, men's league, these guys are done playing. And if you disrespect somebody, anything could happen. So I remember playing.
They don't care.
Yeah, I played a basketball league where the guy had a gun on the bench, so he pulled out a gun.
What?
He pulled out a gun in the middle of the game, because there was like an altercation. And he's like, you know, I've got something. I got something on me, because they were like, the other guy was like, I'm gonna go to the car, and I remember this being like a really big confrontation. But the other dude already had it in the gym, and I was like, and in Texas, because I'm originally from Houston, everybody has guns. It's uncommon to see guns, but I was like, yeah, this is not good. I was like, we're gonna get out of here. I played in a soccer league where there was like a stabbing, and I was like, I'm not playing 11 side after this. I remember at the game, after you're shaking hands and it turned into a big old brawl, and I didn't really know people even on my team that well, and I was this is not worth it to do 11 aside. This is a big reason that I play the 5-on-5s or the 6s indoors. I just feel like it's way easier to manage. Everybody signs in. There might be some confrontation here and there and intensity, but you usually don't have these wild events. But I feel like as you get older, it gets a little bit better. But there's that period between, I feel like it's between 22, so when you're finishing college, up to maybe even in like low 30s, where some men's leagues, anything can happen. It depends where it's located, what city you're in, and I guess the types of players, because it can't be like amazing players. They gotta have like a mix-up, right? But like
there's the grinders, and then there's those guys who still think the dream is alive. It's always a mix.
Or like people not willing to let it go. So sometimes you get old men that are just grumpy. They came from work. They don't like what they're doing, and they are here to mess everything up. Or to motivate. Like they're almost a hype man for the young guys. Like, I wouldn't take that, and it's like, okay, great. But I don't have any. The earlier life stories, I don't really have anything wild. I mean, some pushing and shoving, but that's not really that entertaining. And then even in more recent times, being in New York, I feel I've played a lot of leagues here, and it's not that like you don't have the arguments or like same thing, confrontation with pushing, shoving, but I haven't seen anything like what I was seeing in Houston. Some of the basketball games were wild. I mean, like we're talking about somebody got stabbed at a soccer game, and a guy pulled out a gun at a basketball game, indoors as well. This is indoors, like in a league.
Indoor?
Yeah, of course. We're playing indoors.
What?
What do you mean? Like basketball's played indoors. There's no outside leagues.
I thought you were talking about.
No, this is
didn't
like.
know
I
that.
thought you were saying like. I thought you meant like pickup, bro.
No,
like on like.
That's what I thought
too. No, this is with the referee. Everything, bro.
Oh my god.
He had it on the bench, so he pulled out a weapon. And I was like, that's not good. We also got banned from a league for 2 years on a separate event because one of our players punched the ref. So like he got into it and with a player, and the ref tried to step in, and he smashed him, and I was like, great. And I remember I was the captain of the team, so I had to go into that meeting, and they're like, oh, we're gonna ban you. I was like, oh, it wasn't even that bad. You know, the referee should just left it be, but he tried to intervene. And they're like, are you really defending the guy in your team hitting the ref in the face? You know? But I was like, it was a reminder as well. Like if you got somebody that's like 10 out of 10 pissed, right? And there's something happening on the court, you don't get paid enough money anyway to intervene. Like I worked one time as a doorman when I was in college, so I don't want to say bouncer because I just feel like that's misleading, but I was the door guy, right? And if I saw a fight, I'm not intervening. I'm getting paid like $12 an hour.
Hell no.
I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with big Tex over here that's 6'4", 230. And I'll tell you right now, if you see a bar fight, it's not like the movies at all. At all. You want to know what happens? Higher than 9 out of 10. The first guy that swings and the big dude wins every time. There isn't this like, oh, you take a punch in the face, you get to recover, you get some slow-mo sounds, and everybody looks left and right, and then you're up and you get to square up and duck and dive and dodge. No, that's not how it goes. It's the big dude that's got some muscle, got some fat, and he slams you and it's done. He hits you a few times, drops you. It's not good. It's not pretty at all. And I just remember I was like a skinny guy in college, and I'm just sitting there like, you're not gonna do anything. I was like, you do something. What do you mean? This
You
job
got
does not.
height on you, don't you?
Huh?
You're pretty tall, aren't you? What's your
Yeah,
name
but
again?
I'm not. This is not my fight. I have nothing to do with opponent 1 versus opponent 2. These guys are both drunk and angry. Like I don't. There's no benefit. There's no upside for this. And I'm not big
Yeah,
to
that's
break
true.
up like two big dudes fighting unless like I gotta know somebody to want to get involved in that.
Buck, you got any crazy on-field experiences? Any like altercation?
I don't know if I really do. I had one guy threaten to kill me one time, and I do like an idiot. I went and told the ref afterwards, and the kid got a yellow like going into the second half. It was so lame and like kind of like really like bitch made of me to even say anything to the referee. But no, I mean nothing in terms of guns or stabbing.
What about Fritz? Should you tell
That
the
was
Fritz story?
I was gonna say that's
That's a
not-
class story though, man.
bro. That's the thing, Mike. There's basically
Yes.
I'll try to tell
I
the story
love this
as
story.
I'll try to tell it as quick as possible because that kid wasn't on my team either. He was on my buddy's team. Basically, there's a kid named Riggs Lennon. I think his brother Brooks plays in the MLS now, or I think RSL. He may have actually gone to Atlanta. Beyond the point. The kid scored like 50 goals in high school soccer, which is, I mean, I don't know how many games you play
That's
out there,
crazy.
Zoo, but
That's crazy.
for us, like 13, 14
Yeah,
games.
around that.
50 goals. The kid could not stop scoring, like player of the year 4 years in a row. Like this kid was everything. And there's this kid on my buddy's team, Mike, that used to walk his, like, we're just going to put this in perspective, yeah? He had a pet turtle and would tape a leash to it and walk it around his neighborhood, okay?
Gotcha.
This is the type of person we're dealing with, right? So they had that kid man mark the Riggs Lennon kid the entire game. Like the entire game. And they were supposed to get blown out like 12-0 to this team. And no matter where that kid went, the Fritz kid was just touching him the entire time, right? And the Riggs Lennon kid used to talk about himself in third person all the time, be like, come on, Riggs, you can do it. And this Fritz kid, the entire game behind him would go, come on, Fritz, I know you're better than him. Like, would just whisper it in his ear the entire time. And they only lost, they lost 1-0. And then the
That's
next
a
game
dub.
they played, yeah, the next game they played him, they didn't mark Riggs, like man mark him again, and they lost 9-0. So
Where's Fritz? Fritz is a Conte.
That's actually really
It's,
impressive as well. Like
Yeah,
like,
that's good, bro.
In soccer, in particular, like one guy to make that big of a difference is kind of rare. Like in basketball, if you have someone who's just ridiculous, or you have like I don't know, you're playing with whatever, even at a competitive level, but if you had someone that's like 6'10", that changes the whole dynamic of everything, offensively
Yep.
and defensively, if he's really good.
it's true.
Like one guy will change everything about your team and be like, we can make this work. We've got Big John. We're gonna give Big John the ball, and Big John is gonna change everything defensively because nobody drives in the same way. If you got someone who's
Yeah,
really good, that's 6'10".
That's true. You guys say that. What's crazy is I'm from Edmonton, and Alphonso Davies is iron left back,
Yeah, of course.
crazy fuck superstar.
Yeah.
So I played against him once. I think he scored 9 goals. It was
That's
unbelievable.
disgusting.
Like it was gross, man. The kid was a freaking rocket. They would kick and run, breakaway, goal, 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 goal. Just golden left foot, man. Like he was insane. But like you said, like it's crazy when guys on soccer teams like that. When you see guys like that, you know they're gonna go pretty far. Especially if they could change, like, you know what I mean? Like if they could put up 9 goals a game against like guys who obviously aren't that bad, that's mental. You know it's.
I'm trying to think.
I was gonna say,
who's
Mike.
My years. My years were like you and Holding, which was Stuart Holding, like younger brother. Because Stu was just a little too old for me to match up against him. Or Breck Shea. Do you know who Breck Shea is? Still in MLS.
Yeah.
You play on the Whitecaps.
Breck Shea is my year. So we played against each other all the time. But it was weird because at that point in time, he wasn't even like really that close to being the best player on his team. But I mean, he was still 6'4", athletic. He was playing as a left back too, to give you an idea. So at the club level, he was a left back, which kind of tells you at how progressive his team was or how talented his team was, and how much more so he developed. But you still can't, you can't really change size. So and then of course he worked on a lot of the other technical areas. But that would be like, I guess somebody I played against that went to the pro level relatively quickly. A lot of the guys played. Most people we played against played in college. Afterward. But at my years, because I'm significantly older than you, Zoo. Way older, actually. I'm like more than a decade older. And then I'm older than Buck as well. So it wasn't that much of it. It wasn't a dream to become a pro soccer player. I remember, because I'm from Houston, the Dynamo coming to Houston and then some of the starters working a second job. Like you could go see them work at another job because they're only getting paid like $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and they're starting on an MLS team. So for a lot of people, it was just like using the sport they love to get into the university they wanted to go to and hopefully get money, and then next steps in life. It wasn't where it's at now, where a lot of MLS players make, you know, a really solid six figures, and that's a great salary to really put you in a position even after you're done playing.
That is wild. Mike, what I was going to ask you, and this is like, I feel like whenever you ask somebody a question like this, it's kind of hard to answer, but say, for instance, you never started playing FIFA, right? What would you be doing right now?
I'd work in sales.
In sales?
Yeah, 100%. Probably try to sell the most expensive item that I could get a job for. So I really love real estate. I think I would kill it in real estate. I've started
Hair products?
Huh?
Yep.
Hair products?
No, there's not enough money in that, man.
No, in that.
I want to sell, like, I would try to, maybe if you would go, even if you went into corporate sales, like if you worked for Amazon, or if you went into pharmaceutical sales, I really bet on myself in terms of being able to make the proper relationships, and then I feel that sales is where I would connect really well between you knowing people and then also being able to build relationships organically that of course have some sort of work that would coincide. But that would be the job, hands down. I think I would have been way more financially I guess progressive or just better monetary value than anything in FIFA if I had just gone into sales or finance or a different industry in general. Because just think about it, Buck, we grind for so many years just to build yourself a brand or a little bit of buzz. And when I started, especially, and you kind of came in on the tail end of, like, I guess that period, is even the big guys, they weren't making money. Like I remember like hanging out with KSI and back in the day and stuff, and he was doing okay, but it wasn't the same as what it became with YouTube sponsorships, endorsements, partnerships, people wanting to invest money into gaming. There was still, especially when I first started, gaming wasn't cool. But I always liked gaming. I was always into gaming, always into sports, so I wanted to do things in those industries. But if it was just about money, I think going into a different industry would have been much more beneficial, because you often spend years not making any money or making barely any money, just enough to get by. And a lot of people don't understand that. You're following your favorite creator, and this guy is hustling, like really, really hustling. He doesn't have the brand deals. He's counting on every subscription. He's counting on the movement. He's invested in the growth of a channel, but that doesn't always mean financial growth. And if you're a creative, which many of us are, or you connect to your audience well, that doesn't mean you understand business, myself included. I didn't understand business well coming out of college, because remember, they don't teach us anything, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, people think it's easier than it is. Like they see people streaming and they're like, oh, I could do this. It's blah, blah, you know what I mean? And they think it's just sit down, you do. Well, it's a lot more behind. For sure, that's true. I agree.
Yeah, it's also like, as a consumer, it's not your job to like dig that deep or to really get into that. It's just like, I would never count anybody else's pockets, and I don't expect you to count my pockets. But the reality was, especially when people got started, which was a really pure time of YouTube. I think, Buck, you were watching maybe YouTube then, but you hadn't started streaming yet. But like I remember like Rodashaw making a video where the video is 2 minutes. He was announcing that he was taking part in a tournament, and he eggs himself in the face for 2 minutes. There wasn't
America. I remember that video.
Yeah, there wasn't, but that's what YouTube was when we all started. Everybody collabed with everyone. There wasn't any business end. I don't think a lot of people were making much money at all. It was super fun. It was super raw. People did not have editors. There wasn't a business aspect. So a lot of the content was like trash, but it was so trash it was great. Like if you go watch it back, just go ahead.
No,
like, my videos were trash. Like a lot of them were trash. They weren't produced well. They weren't edited well, but that's what it was.
I don't know. As like a guy who I've always been a viewer. I would watch Copa 90, those tournaments that Rodashaw in, all those. Back then, that's why people say, "Oh, I miss the old KSI, I miss the old Rodashaw," because now these days it's not just, like, not shitty, but like cropped videos where they just do the editing themselves. You could and it's quick videos, blah blah blah. But it's different now these days, right? People have to go after the money. They need the. It's their job, and that's what viewers don't understand.
It's not even going after the money. It's just their time is so valuable that it doesn't make sense. Like someone like KSI, and I have no idea what would it cost you to get time with him in terms of you wanted him to make an appearance or something like that. But like It doesn't make sense for him to spend 6 to 8 hours editing a video. That's a bad investment because he can't trade spots. That editor can't become KSI for 6 to 8 hours. You
It's
see
true.
what I'm saying?
I
So
was
it's
gonna
like
say-
it doesn't make, they can't switch up. So it's like you could find multiple people that can edit videos, but you can't find multiple KSIs. So you got to be yourself.
I think Mike was. Yeah, I think you honestly were the first person that really ever talked to me about that stuff, about how like, I guess just how valuable an editor is, you know, or just how valuable it is to have somebody do something for you because you can't be in a million places all at once. Whether it's to, you know, potentially go after more brand deals or, you know, be at this meeting, be at this convention, or just live a normal life and be able to, you know, go hang out with your friends one night, you know, kind of get that, I guess, the debrief of everything else that's been going on and stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say, you were the very, very first person to ever teach me that. Granted, I still don't have an editor, but
Well, but
It's,
when we met was when I was like, I was transitioning. That was like I finally started to transition to, and it wasn't about money at all. It was more so that you couldn't. It's not sustainable. How am I going to
Yeah.
edit a video a day, live stream a day every day for 6 hours or something, answer 100 emails, take phone calls, and then also put together brand deals? You have to start diversifying or allocating work to different people. You have to have some sort of team, even if it's a very small team, because you can't do that over a long term. You could do it for a short term, but over a long term, and this is why this is the number one reason that you might ask from a consumer standpoint, well, where'd this creator go? They got burnt out. Number one reason
Yep.
that creators stop, live streamers stop, podcasters stop, is not because they didn't love it. It's not because they don't want to interact with you. It's not because of any of those outside factors. It's just that they couldn't handle it anymore. It's too much time. And you don't often get this big reward on the back end. Maybe you get, like, I remember putting in 12 hours to a video and then getting way less views than the video that took me 2 hours. And that's just how it goes.
That's a grading. The grading probably when you see that stuff.
No, but yeah. So it's really tricky. I don't know. Like you don't want to get down. I just try to start. It's really important. I feel like not to get too high, like in the ups, and too down in the lows.
That's
Kinda-
true. Yeah, that's true.
To keep a happy medium to a certain degree, because there's always going to be ups and downs in the creator space because you don't have a lot of insurances or guarantees, and that's fine. You kind of bet on you have fun with it. And Buck and I were just talking about this. I think you were in here as well, Zoo, just really, really recent, like really shortly as before we kicked off. But I just want to hang out with a lot of times these guys that I have great relationships with. Like Buck and I are good friends, but like we don't get time to hang out because you're streaming or I'm streaming or our hours are flip-flopped. Or doesn't align, or we're in different time zones, and it starts to be like you can't talk to your friends or people that you know really well in the community unless you are doing something together. It's literally creating content together, or it's hard to have that moment of just being, I'm shutting down Twitter, I'm shutting down Instagram, I'm shutting down Twitch, I'm shutting down YouTube for multiple days.
So, but my question for both you guys then. So what do you think has been your best tool to not get burnt? Like what do both for both you, 'cause both streaming, grind all the time, of course. What do you think helped you?
You want to go first, Mike?
Sure. I mean, for me, I'm naturally someone who just takes on too much work all the time. It's just like part of who I am. If you gave me time, I'll figure out something to slide into the time with one of my interests. But over time, the big key for me was getting people into position for things that you don't like doing. So I had already maxed out where I was as an editor. I had learned how to do it. It was way more interesting when I first got started because I didn't know anything about editing or videography or anything along those lines. So everything was a learning experience. But once I got to a certain level, I just realized I don't want to do this. I feel that I'd be better off directing the videos and spending more time maybe with notes. If you've watched more of my recent content, a lot of it with these lists are very creative ways of describing different players in only a way that I think I do on YouTube. And that's not said in a cocky manner or something. I just think I have a very unique vibe or an unorthodox style to describing your favorite center mid or someone who's overpowered as a winger or these defensive rats that are able to do this and able to do that. And I think I have some sort of mix between a slang, immature approach and ridiculous analogies and wordplay to go with being able to articulate and have a lot of details that will catch some people off guard. And you wouldn't have the time to do some of this if you didn't have other people in a position. You have to have a graphic designer. I think all of us probably have graphic designers, but you have to have a graphic designer to help you do things. And then I think it's helpful to have some sort of agent or someone who's trying to feed you deals as well, or work on your behalf when you're working on growing a channel, growing an outlet, and talking and interacting with your community. I feel like those 3 roles, at least in the FIFA space, are needed as soon as possible if you can do them. So you need an editor, you need someone to help with business side, just to take calls or whatnot, because you can't take those on stream. That would be really funny. I would enjoy hearing Buck negotiate deals on stream, but like that's not realistic. And a graphic designer, because somebody's going to be able to do what you could do in Photoshop, and probably, I don't know, they could do it in a 1/5 of the time. So you're over here wasting hours trying to figure out how to get rid of red eyes in a picture. It's not your specialty.
Buck, think.
For me, I think, because everybody burns out in a sense, like everybody always does. And whether, I guess that means like you change up your content or you change the game that you play or anything. I guess me and Mike have talked about this before, but I think the thing that scares me the most, which ends up being, I guess, my factor to not get burnt out, is that I see people get burnt and be like, oh, like I'm going to take a few months off. I'm going to do this, right? And they kind of let their entire career tank. And it's really, really, really hard to see sometimes, because you want to say something to them like, hey, like, do this type deal. I think for me, it comes down to the fact that I hated my internship that I had in college, and I knew that was like the route that I was going to go into if I didn't end up kind of making it with like video games and stuff like that. So I guess the motivation is that I just, no matter on like the days that I maybe don't want to stream, or I'm really tired, or, it's a lot easier just to go to bed that night, I think about the old job or the job path that I could have been down. And then I start to think about, like, I'm pretty damn lucky to be in the position I am at this point and be able to hang out and play video games every single day with my friends. And I guess that's just kind of the factor.
Touch on this as well, is that I've been burnt out on multiple occasions where I've then been inconsistent on YouTube, which doesn't allow you to maximize the YouTube or to maximize a Twitch stream or wherever you're streaming and things like that. Not to the degree where I wasn't able to continue at a later period, but like kind of what Buck was saying, you take off months. It would be better for you to upload less and be consistent than to upload like a crazy man and then do that for 6 months and then take off for 6 months. For your channel and for your progression and for your branding, it would be way better to be like, I'm going to upload 3 times a week at these times and these days, than to like kill it on daily uploads for 6 months and then disappear for 6.
Same. Do you think, this is kind of like, I guess a little bit off topic, but do you think it's easier because you're someone that's left Twitch and come back, and you're also saying that you're somebody that's left YouTube, or you maybe stopped uploading for a period of time on YouTube and come back to YouTube? Which one do you think's harder to regain, YouTube, or do you think Twitch would be?
I think it depends a little bit. I'd love to give you a simple answer. So this is the reality with Twitch. If Twitch is your main thing, there's probably in FIFA, at least let's say English speakers, off just Twitch, maybe 10 that are like able to actually do this as a job. Now, a lot of people are able to diversify where they have, a little on YouTube, some different brand deals coming through, some appearances, some hosting, some presenting, as a collective, some Twitch, whatever it might be. But there's really not that many, if you really think about it, because in order to really full-time something proper, you're dealing with guys that are getting, 500, 600 concurrent viewers all the time and up. I'd say that's a safe statement, right, Buck? On Twitch?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And that's like a very small group. I'm not talking about you've got 500 viewers, but like you always have 500, 600, maybe 1,000 concurrently at all times, and then you're able to kind of maybe be able to monetize off that group, or people that just really mess with you and they don't want to see you go anywhere. But there's not very many, so I think they're both really difficult. I find coming back to Twitch, maybe because I already have a brand, it's easier to get like your traffic of guys that really like Twitch, because there's a lot of people that like Twitch but don't like YouTube, for example. Whereas YouTube, we have oversaturation like crazy, and the reality too is, I don't know if you've talked about this at all, but you don't make money off views. Like people think like a ton of views make a lot of money. No, your influence could make some money on the back end. I don't want to make this all about money, but like if you're getting 5,000 views in a video or something, there's nothing there. Like I'm doing it for the love of the game. A lot of my content is for the love of the game. Like I don't do Like maybe there's some brand deals and partnerships and things like that that'll allow me to come out of it. But I do YouTube and I make content for the community that we have and that I like. Like I like these people. I know that's a really long-winded kind of answer. I think it's harder.
That's respectable, bro.
Well, I think it's harder. Like you need to do this as a passion. I think it's harder to start Twitch from nothing and make something. I think because like you could grind for like 3 years and not get past having 20 concurrent viewers, and that's not a slap to you. It's just so saturated, and the way that Twitch is a very elitist program. I'm not gonna be able to get that phone call, but Twitch has a very elitist like program. Like if you think about it, when you go to FIFA 21 or whatever it may be, you're gonna see the most viewers and it trickles down, right? So like you're never gonna necessarily find these new channels unless you're really looking for new channels to find. Otherwise, you're always gonna see the top 20 or top 30 people. You really have to go for a deep dive in order to kind of discover new people. Where on YouTube, I feel like there's still the ability to just go viral, or people make content that's just being sought after. That allows you to build traction even from a very small channel. Like I find channels on YouTube all the time. Every single week I find new channels, multiple new channels. Not always in FIFA, but just in general, and they don't have big followings, but that popped up in my recommended or something I was searching for, and here we are. Where I think there is no search option in Twitch the same way. You can't be like, hey, badass goal scorer in Twitch, and then it like sends you to somebody who's good at skill moves.
Bro, you know what's really funny about you saying that you find like new channels and stuff all the time? I literally was I was with my girlfriend the other night, and she was watching because like we turned on like the Steve Will Do It video, and she goes, hey, look, Mike commented on this video, and I think he would commented something like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I'm enjoying this, or whatever it was. But yeah, I don't know. That's just, I guess, like super random. We were able to find your comment on there. It's pretty funny.
No, exactly. YouTube is a better platform for discovery, even though it used to be amazing back in the day compared to where it is now. But I think it is a better platform for discovery for a new channel, or for someone who's got a smaller audience, in terms of being able to potentially generate a lot of views, or if you're in a niche. So let's say you're in a really niche market. I've seen a lot of channels that have 5,000 subs but get 10,000 views a video, because it's like all their subs want to see it, and then that propels them into more recommendations and so forth. And Twitch doesn't have anything like that I know of.
That's very true.
Well, like take like Buck and talking about it. Our channel right now, the 40 Before podcast, we started from literally pretty much nothing, and went into a niche market podcast, and we've had videos that have somehow gotten the views that we never would have thought we've gotten, due to the fact that YouTube, they're recommended and blah blah blah. You know exactly what you're talking about. Like,
yeah, it just doesn't happen on Twitch. It does not.
Yeah, I know people on Twitch that have grinded like 3 p.m. for these 4 days a week, same time, same schedule. They're good streamers. They don't get a chance. You don't get a chance to be seen, and then people can tell you how trash you are or how amazing you are.
Yeah.
The trash part's very true as well. All right, final question, because we've gone over the allotted time. All right, when we know Mike Labelle's all about he can't be in 2 places at once. You have a birthday party tonight to go to, right?
Yeah, I'm running late to it, but that's fine. I'm happy to spend this time with you guys.
All right, the final question, okay, is, I mean, 'cause we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but there might be something else. Is there one thing, I guess, in your career that you wish you would have done different? Or is there one thing that you're like, damn, like I hit this on the head, like I did this so correctly, that you could suggest to somebody else out there that's maybe either starting up or even a position where they're doing well right now?
I think there's a lot of things that I would have done differently, because like hindsight is obviously perfect, right? So there was a period where I was really cool with a lot of really massive YouTubers. We're talking about like Rhoda Shaw or KSI, and I'm in that original era, really. And I think it would have been really cool if I was able to get into one of those groups, not even from like a clout perspective or something like that, but just because it looks fun. What they do, a lot of the content they make looks really fun, and it would have shifted your life and obviously shifted your trajectory in many regards. But I think when you're looking at content creation, you want to be really passionate and happy with what you're making, and adding your own touch to it. And then you also have to be realistic with how much time you have in order to add that touch. But when you see the likes of Sidemen's still the biggest group that I think there is on YouTube. And it's like, yeah, but it's really cool. It's a bunch of friends that created a group. They made something bigger. They built a brand around it, and everything they touch is gold. And KSI's probably made from doing that and like helping build this. not only their 7 careers, but also probably at least another 7 people that probably rely on them, if not more than that.
Oh yeah.
They've built a big team there, which I think is super, super amazing. Like, I just think that's dope. Hey, I like all you guys. Let's build something bigger. I think that is super dope. So one of my regrets would be that I didn't maybe try to push into, because I was really good friends with like Anderson Gibb as well. Like, I remember when he had like 1,000 subscribers. We were in group calls all the time, and nothing changed. I want to be very clear. Nothing changed, but maybe I didn't adjust, or we didn't look to form, or we didn't have the vision to form these groups that became these really big content houses or content, conglomerates like you see with the Sidemen. So that may be one of the regrets. Also, there's been years that I was in really good shape and years that I got kind of fat, which is also part of burnout. You're spending so much time gaming. So I would rather have tried to balance that earlier on. A lot of times you don't know. Like, you're just in the game and you built this rinse, wash, repeat of what you're doing with your life. And you're not thinking about different ways to maybe potentially monetize, or different ways to open up more time for yourself that are worth doing, or where you're spending your time too. I don't want to take this combo like to a real negative place, but as you get older, the life cycle comes in, you lose people's lives change drastically, and you don't get to see your friends anymore, or maybe you want to see somebody that's just not around anymore. And you spent so much time grinding this career, and you maybe missed out on some hours or some days that you would have happily exchanged. And you know, life is bigger than FIFA, right? Or life is bigger than YouTube, or bigger than social media, because social media is like so in your face every single day. If you don't look at your phone, you feel like you're missing out on something. It's wild. And even more so if you're young, like Zoo, you're really young. I can't imagine being on the internet at 18 like that, or at 20, or at 21.
Yeah.
Did you ever make stupid
You're
decisions
right.
at 18, 19, 20, 21? Yes, all day. Probably every day I
100%.
made some stupid
100%.
decisions. And like, people are super judgmental now. Yeah, a lot of these guys, especially with TikTok, have so many thousands of followers. And the reality is they're just young. People are just young. You're not mature yet. You don't know anything. And this isn't going to last forever either. And I wish that we hadn't become so dependent, I guess, on social media as
I agree.
a life form. Like, people don't know what life is now if they're not looking at their phone, which is terrifying. Yeah, I guess I did take that down a slippery slope. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
but,
God,
dude, I
dude, yo.
think it's a super important
It
thing to
is,
hear,
yeah.
though.
It is. It
'Cause
is. It is.
Everybody goes too hard, and I mean, everybody's chasing their dream at one point, though, too. And you definitely don't realize maybe the health benefits or anything else that happens along with all of it. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on, dude. We appreciate it a lot. Did you have a good amount of wine, bro?
Awesome.
Or
I had a glass.
what's the situation?
Sorry, I was talking so much I couldn't shut up. You know, this is the only way I get to talk to Buck these days, is I have to do podcasts. So I was like, perfect. I'm happy to come on. I hope that there's something from there for the people watching that you guys can gravitate towards, and you like it and you enjoy it. Or you're going to say Mike talked way too much. One of the two.
No, dude, we're having you on to talk, so we're glad that you did so
Yeah.
much, man.
I'm gonna get a
All
solid
right.
chug in. Last chug of the.
I was gonna say I finished my
Dude.
32-ounce Modelo. I'm actually kind of impressed.
I'm
with
not
myself
gonna
right
lie.
now.
This thing was a hard drink at first, and it definitely is extremely strong as it does. I'm not gonna
You've
lie.
loosened
man.
up over time. You've loosened
Oh
up.
yeah, big time. So I'm just gonna send a solid chug to send.
All right, cool. If you guys haven't gone over and subscribed or followed Mike on any of his socials, please obviously do. If you're new here, or if you've stuck around this entire time, please just leave a like and subscribe as well. Mike Labelle, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you
we
so
will
much,
see you guys
bro.
next time.
Peace.
Peace.